Morning, Russ. We'll start with some good news. The signing of John Freeman to an extended contract. How did that come about, and how impressed have you been with him this season?
Yeah, just been. I think I said it before, and I don't think he'll mind. We had a chat last summer before we were due back. John was only on a 3-month contract, I think, because he'd had an injury, so he'd got an extension just to get back fit and prove himself. And I pretty much told him I didn't think he had a real chance of being involved in the first team. And that he told me he had a couple of options in America, scholarships, etc. And I pretty much advised him that it might be a really good idea for him to go and do that. He didn't. He got his head down. He came back in really good shape. Worked really hard in pre-season. Really impressed us with his mentality, his resilience, his character. He's always got a smile on his face. He's an intelligent footballer, and just really, for someone to be able to do that in that circumstance when it's really basically a trial period, I guess. And we knew about him, but he hadn't been involved very much because he had such a bad injury to overcome. The way he overcome that was impressive, and then the way he came back was even more impressive. And then obviously he played early on for us a bit. He was quite heavily involved because we didn't have a very big squad, but he really took those opportunities when he did play and come on, and he deserved it. And since then he's found himself not involved as much, but he had a tough period earlier on in this year, at the turn of the year, where you have a little bit of involvement as a young guy, and then you're not involved as much. It's really difficult. I've been in that situation a long time ago now, but I remember how it feels. And he's managed to pick himself up again and be really impressive in training, the way he's approached it, always in the gym trying to get better physically. And I just think different people develop at different times, and he gets it. He really gets what we want to do because he's intelligent, and he is a really good technician. He's just not maybe he's developed physically as quickly as some others. So we just feel he deserved a bit more time to develop him, and he really buys into what we're doing. As I said, he's a great learner, great kid, and he's a delight to work with and have around the place. And he's also someone who really cares about the club, a fan of the club, been here a long time, which matters. So yeah, we just felt he warrants and deserves a bit more time to develop, and it's a really exciting time for him, and hopefully he can come back this pre-season, next pre-season as well as he did this pre-season, and surprise us again, and look to build some more games and more time on the pitch with us.
Something you said in the interview with your guys at the club there was that he knows he has to be patient and he has to bide his time, and that these things don't come overnight. But that's a big sign of mentality and a big sign of maturity for someone of that age, not to be smashing things and demanding to be in your team, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he knows it's really difficult to play in our team. I think if you look at the people ahead of him with the experience they've got, the quality they've got, it's really tough. Really tough. I think any young player knows that now, playing for our team. Any experienced player knows how difficult it is to play in our team. The intensity, the courage they have to show. So yeah, I think it's a given. You have to be patient, and when you get a chance in the team, you have to play really well to stay in it, because we have a lot of competition now, which is obviously different to any position we've been in since we've been here. So yeah, I think you have to be mature. You have to, as I always say, it's a process with the young guys as well. It's about developing them individually as people, as players, and then when the time is right, putting them in, and you hope that they take the opportunity. And the whole time now is spent preparing them and making sure they are as ready as possible, and they have to be up for that challenge. And he's one who certainly is, with the right attitude, right mentality.
On to Tuesday night, you mentioned that you felt the mentality was wrong at the start of the second half. Is that something that you just, you remind the players that those sort of mistakes you can't afford to make them, but then also realise that, at this point, with 5 games to go, it's still very much a learning process, and you can almost afford to do it now as long as you don't do it next season.
Yeah, it's a balance, isn't it? I think we've had 2 teams pretty much this year. I'm convinced there won't be as many teams who've had as much turnover as we have. I think one player started on Tuesday night that started in the game against them early on in the season, Dino. We just have to, I actually don't think the mentality, we didn't start it terribly. I think even the move where they concede was excellent. We play around their press, which we did repeatedly. They didn't do that against our press. They kicked the ball off the pitch numerous times. They just had a real threat on the counter-attack. So I don't want people to get carried away with that. We are taking risk, but they're calculated risk. I've said that before, and that's not what costs us. You know, we break the press, and then we end up losing the ball. And it's the reaction to the mistake we have to just get a little bit better at. And as I said, we are young guys. I think the guy who probably helped us out a lot earlier on in the season when there is a mistake with his athleticism and also his willingness to give himself up with the team was Dave, which is why I end up with so many bookings. And we have missed that. We've missed that bite. There's no doubt about it. So we have to get better to coping with mistakes as a team. And I think probably Tuesday the mentality was the wrong word from me, because I don't question the guy's mentality anymore. But it's a reaction to a mistake, and you know, let's get it right. They're too good. The other one is Scotty obviously tries to turn on the edge of our box, which is another mistake, and they score. And then the next one is a penalty, which isn't. Watching it back numerous times, it's not a penalty, and then a free kick which goes in the top corner. So 4-0 makes it look terrible, makes us feel terrible. But when you watch it back in the game, there's probably a 20-minute period where we're not good enough or not our usual self. But we're playing against a team who are flying high in the league. We're on a tough run of games. They've had a real consistent way of doing things. A team that we completely stopped them trying to play. And then they went a bit more direct, and they had the athleticism to do that, and they have some really good players. And the guy that, you know, who scores a hat-trick is the guy that's playing for a team in the league higher next year. So we have a lot of our own young players we're trying to develop. So yeah, I'm not going to get overly emotional or worried about one game. I want us to finish the season as strongly as possible, because the guys deserve it. They've put on so much hard work. And as I said to you, we have had two teams. You know, from January onwards, it's been a completely different team. It's a team that feels more like ours now, a squad that feels more aligned with what we want and how we want to do things. And we are just trying to prepare and finish as strong as possible so we can get these guys ready for next season, where they will all, I said it all the way along, they will benefit hugely from this season's experience. And we're also learning about the process, what we can refine, what we can work on, what we can improve, and hopefully we'll all be better for it next season. It's been a huge year of learning and development for us. And as I keep saying to you, whatever way you look at it, we have improved greatly as a club. We've improved on the pitch, off the pitch. Some of the stuff is really tangible and clear to see. Some of the stuff isn't, but we feel it and we see it here day to day. And next year it'll be about improving that again.
You mentioned David Kasumu there. I mean, how close is he now to getting a start? And, you know, we've seen how much of a miss he's been. You know, I think it was within 10 seconds of him coming on Tuesday night. He was sailing into a tackle. That physical approach is, you know, not something that an awful lot of players can bring.
No, yeah, I think if he doesn't start soon, he'll end up tackling me. So I'll have to do it at some point, because I don't really fancy receiving a tackle from Dave. So we've missed him. We have really missed him. He's going to be a top player. There's no doubt about it. He is someone who, if you look at in the last 18 months, how much improvement there's been. It's what it's about. It's about developing players, people, professionals. So yeah, he is very close. He's chomping at the bit to start. He's probably ready now physically. But the two guys in front of him have been fantastic. So he might have to be a little bit more patient. But he's definitely ready. Mentally and physically, so I'm sure it'll be a matter of time before, you know, he gets hopefully a run of games, and that'll prepare him in good stead for the pre-season ahead as well, after being out for a long time. But as I said, the two guys in front have been outstanding, and he knows that and appreciates that. So yeah, he's ready, and he just needs to keep making the most of the time he gets in the pitch, keep building up, and when he gets the chance to start, you know, really kick on and pick up where he left off.
You've mentioned in the last couple of games that you've created chances, but you haven't been able to score. Is there a secret behind that? Is there a reason that they're not scoring at the moment, or is it just down to luck, do you think?
No, I think we need to be. I think we spoke about it, and we're playing against teams who are obviously desperate to try and stop us. The first goal would really help us. I think there's no better team in the league if we score first. We just don't do it often enough at the moment. So I think Cammy's a loss. I think Griggy's been great for us since he come in, but he hasn't had a regular run of games, so we're trying to get him up to speed really quickly. But you know, I think with Cammy's pace and power, even just speaking to a couple of guys in the opposition after the last couple of games, you know, people don't look forward to playing against him. And he's been great for us. So he has been a loss. And now Griggy's getting up to speed, which his links to play brilliantly. His movement's fantastic, and it's different to Cammy. So the guys have got used to playing with Cam, and now they're trying to get used to a different. Because when Griggy's played, it's been as a two. He hasn't done the one on his own very much. So I think we're just trying to. We're always trying to strive for a bit of balance with controlling the game, but also maintaining a real threat in behind, up top end of the pitch. Ipswich, we should score. We missed a few really good chances. Scotty, Matty in the box. The other night we didn't really get a clear-cut one, but there was too many crosses that bounced in the box. We should be getting first contact or just doing a bit more to get across people and make something of that. Because I thought Matty Sorno in particular put some brilliant balls in. And then the one running behind that Danny Harvey, makes with real aggression. He gets a great chance and they make a really good block. So it'll come. I've got no doubt about that. We had a period in the season where we were getting, criticised for that, but I think we're in the top 10 for goals scored. We're certainly the top 2 for touches in the opposition box. We just need to make it count for more. And when we get there, there's often a lot of bodies behind the ball, defending and making it difficult. So the aim is obviously we've looked before on Tuesday. Obviously we started looking really solid defensively and not giving many away again. And even Tuesday, I think we had 5 shots against. They scored 4. We're striving for a balance, and we after looking at it, we definitely know what we need to do, and it's another thing we'll work on again in training to make sure we threaten the opposition goal a little bit more than we did on Tuesday.
I think it's fair to say you're probably not going to go up. You're not going to go down. I think 5 games to go. It's almost I say cruise into the season. There's obviously not going to be that. But are you looking at the league table at all and thinking this is where we should be finishing, or are you just happy to finish wherever now?
Well, I want to finish as high as possible. We all do. I think the worst thing that can happen is it doesn't really matter anymore. Every game matters. Every day matters. Every detail matters. What you're doing to perform. So we want to finish as strongly as possible. I would like to finish as high up as possible. I want to finish with as many points as possible, and it's something we'll talk about this morning with the group. But I'm not. I said to you all along, I didn't really look at it when we were struggling down the bottom at the start of the season, because I felt performances would pick us back up the table. And I didn't look at it when everyone around was getting a little bit giddy and talking about the playoffs. So I think consistency in our approach and how we do things has been really important for us over the period of time we've been here, and that won't change at all. So every game will have a different focus for us. Every game will have real key points for us to look at and how we're going to perform and approach it. Starting tomorrow, and what's going to be a really tough game. We always knew this period of playing against 3 or 4 teams that really want to get into the playoffs and get promoted. It was going to be tough for us because of where we are. And as I said, we've had so much change, but I think throughout the season we've proven on our day that we can compete with anyone. It's just about getting consistency in performance, and with young guys, with the amount of young guys we have, that's difficult to get. But as I said, they will all be hugely. This year will be hugely beneficial to so many of them, and they'll be better for it. We will be better for it.
Portsmouth, then, they seem to be having a very familiar run to the one that you were having, with 4 wins in a row and then a loss and a draw. And it feels like they're hitting the accelerator at the right time for their playoff push. Yeah,
they obviously the new managers. Danny and Nicky, 2 people with a lot of respect for that. They've had a brilliant journey in their managerial career so far. I think a lot of people feel they're really unfortunate to lose their job last year, especially if you look at Huddersfield this year. They've done a really good job wherever they've been, and it's no surprise they've gone in there and hit the ground running. I think they approached their jobs with real intensity, real clarity. Obviously playing against their Lincoln team as well, you know what you're going to get. It's a team that will be full of intensity and hard running. And watching Portsmouth, it's no surprise to see why they've had the results they had. Let's get it right. They've inherited a really good squad for the level, a big club for the level. It's no surprise if you look at the clubs at the top of the league in terms of budget and what people have spent. It's no surprise to see the teams up there, like Sunderland, the Hull. Peterborough obviously invested heavily in the striker, who's done brilliantly. and the expectation on Portsmouth because of the club, because of the budget, etc., from their fans is big, it's heavy, and they have to carry that burden. And they got a manager now who is really intent on using that as an advantage and a strength for them, and keen to push the club forward. And I think you can see the players are really buying into it, and they're in transition. There's no doubt about it. In terms of, I think he spoke about it, getting their players ready for how they want to play physically and mentally. And reminds us of us when we took over, trying to change the mentality of the group, and then slowly change tactically and technically after that. It'll be a tough game. That I think they'll be really pushing hard, and it looks like they're going to try and take as much momentum into the playoffs as possible, and then see where it takes them. They have some really good players, as I said, especially for the level. But I'm really excited about the game. I'm looking forward to it. We need to reaction after Tuesday, and I think it's one the guys will be looking forward to as well. Really test ourselves. It's going to be a tough test.
It's almost a trend for me to ask this question, but it was such a frustrating afternoon, wasn't it, at Fratton Park the last time the sides met?
Yeah, it was one of our best performances, I think. I think we littered there. We were in their box a lot of chances, a lot of shots. They had very little in the game, a penalty and a set piece, and we walked away 2-1. And one of the most frustrating games we've had, I think, this season for sure. The pitch certainly helped us. Fantastic. We played with real energy. It was Cammy's first game. He came off the bench, I remember, and it was just sort of, that was where we were at that stage of the season. We were getting punished for mistakes. And playing really, really well. Really, really well. We played. I remember feeling so angry after that game. I remember speaking to Bobby Winkleman straight after the game on pitch side. We was walking out, and we had a good chat, and we both agreed the performance was fantastic. And if we kept that up, we'd do okay. So unfortunately for us, at some point the results started reflecting performance, and if we can match that level of performance tomorrow. And add a bit of edge maybe we were missing at the start of the season. That mental edge, that intensity that we have added over the last couple of months. Then, as always, especially here, we have to try and impose ourselves and back ourselves to win a game of football, and that's what we'll go and do, hopefully.